The Joe Rogan Experience.
You don't let your kids just cut loose on YouTube, do you?
No. Luckily, one of my kids, all she likes to watch on YouTube is like there's a girl named Sniper Wolf, who's very funny, and she does like these reaction videos to stuff, but it's very G-rated, and she loves watching her. And but I keep an eye on what they're doing, and I don't allow them to just start going crazy.
Yeah,
because it's just. You never know. I mean, one day you just stumble upon an ISIS beheading video.
Yeah.
And now you have, your kids fucking waking you up in the middle of the night crying and screaming because they can't get this image out of their head.
It's terrifying.
It is.
To be on the other side of it, too, because when you're young, all you want to do is throw off the chains.
Oh, yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're like in the position of putting the chains on.
Yeah, it's like, how much freedom do you give them? Like, how much do you talk to them about stuff? How much do you let them figure the stuff out on their own? It's tricky, and it's a weird world because it didn't exist previous. Like, it's not like we're dealing with something that we went through when we were children. Mm-hmm. There was no Google when we were children. There was no, Live Leak. You ever go on Live Leak? And
no.
Fucking
I know about it, but yeah.
Horrible videos. You can watch a lot of car accidents and animal attacks and just wild shit.
Yeah.
That's not,
Oh, no, I have been on X. I have stumbled into that.
But that didn't exist before. When I was a kid, if you wanted to watch something fucked up, you had a plan for it. Like when we wanted to watch Faces of Death, somebody had to get the video. One of our friends had to watch the door. So like we were in the basement. One of the friends had to watch the door, make sure the parents didn't come down, and then we put it on the VCR, and we were ready. Like if someone came down, you'd pop that fucking tape out and hide it. These kids today, all they have to do is just have a phone, and a lot of times kids are 11 and 12, they have phones. And 12-year-olds with a phone, I mean, they're going to start Googling people fucking, people getting killed. They're going to see the most crazy shit. Have you seen this? Your friend's going to say, have you seen that? And then you're going to look on your phone. There's no way to stop it. There's no way to stop it. Kids have wild fucking workarounds for like little restrictions. My sneaky little fucking kid, you know what she did? She screen recorded my wife when my wife went and put in a password for her screen time. Yeah.
Nice move.
Very nice move. She handed her phone over to my wife. My wife goes in and puts a password in for her screen time so she can only get an hour's worth of screen time a day. And then my wife checks it. She's like, how the fuck do you have 4 hours of screen time? Like, what's going on here? So then she figured out that the little monster. Yeah.
Did you guys have public access when you were growing up? Like public access TV. I used to see some of that shit. Yeah. That's my first exposure to Faces of Death was after 10 o'clock. They could show whatever the fuck they wanted for whatever reason.
Really?
Not blatant porn, but porn.
Really?
I saw. That's what the Bud Dwyer video of him shooting himself in the face.
You saw that on TV?
To the 21 gun salute when I was going to bed, and I was like 10 years old.
What?
Yeah.
Huh. No way.
Wow. And then this guy ended up, I was talking with some of my friends when I was back at home in my reunion. This guy we all knew about him when we were like 12, 13 years old. Had a show, painted up like an Insane Clown Posse type character, and would have like blood, girls, vaginas, lips, all sorts of wild shit.
Really?
Wild. And there was just like the government was putting it on technically because of public access.
So in public access, there's no restrictions like there are.
That's
with the
what I was
FCC?
asking. I did not. You guys didn't have. That's like what Wayne's World was. That's my only thing I knew growing up was like Wayne's World on the SNL was a public access show. But then we actually had public access, and that's where wild shit was happening after 10 o'clock.
I had a friend of mine who had a public access show. My friend Larry Rapucci, who's a stand-up comic in, I think it was Larry's show, but he was a stand-up comic in Boston. We all did a public access show when we were like struggling comedians. We all went on.
You did it too?
Yeah, I wore a dress. I wore a dress and a wig, and I was like, we had like a dating show, and
this is the wild guy that I would. This is from the 90s, I think. I found it on YouTube. It still exists.
It's like very David Lynchian,
Dude,
man.
So it's just so weird to watch.
Damon
now,
Zex.
Yeah.
Oh, so he would. That's him
He's
on the right
character.
and him on TV? Oh,
Yeah,
wow. So
yeah.
he really planned this out.
This was some weird shit.
Wow.
Again,
This is 96?
he's doing coke. The tampons. It's all like again. I was a kid when I was seeing this stuff.
Wow.
So like to me,
Where's
it's not
that guy
that
now?
Looks
strange.
like Robert Smith from The Cure, man.
Someone found him. I don't know. I'm sure he's like on Facebook or probably doing this stuff still.
Let's find him.
Well, he's gonna find out now.
Oh,
I'm sure.
Jesus Christ.
Wow, yeah.
So he
Hardcore.
got away with this. This was all on.
Yeah, but he wasn't even the only one. There was a clown called like Angsto the Clown. That was like, I'm sure Red Band knows about this stuff because he was a little bit older than me in the same area. That's probably why he was probably watching the same
Where
shit.
were
To
you
be honest
brought up?
with you. This is why it might make
Ohio.
sense now.
Where were you brought
in
up?
Columbus, Ohio. Huh. Weird.
Wow.
This, and then looking back into some of the stuff that was happening there, it kind of makes a little bit of sense. But if this wasn't going on everywhere, that's sort of like strange to me.
I never
kinda
saw
thought
it in Boston, but I might have been out of the loop. It might have existed. I just wasn't aware of it. But I thought the regulations were across the board if you were broadcasting. I didn't think that public access was different. Is it because it's local?
Maybe, and then there's like free speech laws that we're getting into. I don't. Again, I was a kid, so I have no idea. I was just. I was excited to see it.
I haven't. It's not. It won't be available till spring. But for the last couple of years, I've been working on a book. You know, like this is the thing I thought I'd never do. I used to be annoyed by people who thought about their kids before I had kids. But I have a book that I just finished called "Outdoor Kids Inside World," and it's about kids in nature, raising kids. And yeah, man, if you'd asked me, dude, like 10 years ago, I'd have been like, no way I would do something like that. But it's just harrowing, man. It's like scary.
What is scary?
Having kids.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, worried about them and
Just like
the
what,
danger.
and like trying to guide their experience, And for me, I don't know. Yeah, I've found that, exposure to nature, experiences in nature, understanding nature is like winds up being an avenue of approach that I have with them that works for both of us. It's like a common language,
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's terrifying, and then the feeling of the hypocrisy that you get of things that meant that when you were young, things that meant a lot to you and felt very authentic to you, like freedom to consume what media you wanted, freedom to talk to who you wanted to talk to, freedom to go where you wanted to go. That later you're in a position where you're denying someone something that you really wanted in an honest way when you were young.
Yeah. I had a conversation with Jonathan.
It's a push and pull, man.
Jonathan Haidt about that. Where he talks about the concept of free-range kids. Mm-hmm. About he lets his children wander. It was Jonathan Haidt, right? Was, right? The coddling of the American mind. Mm-hmm. He lets his kids wander around New York City. Like he lets his kids walk home from New York City. Yeah. And, he's talking about one time his kid got a little lost and they were really, really scared. It was like they were trying to find him, and it's like a terrifying feeling. But that ultimately the development that the child receives from being able to navigate the world on their own is very valuable, but there's a risk. And so you have to weigh this risk versus reward. And the opposite of that is people who helicopter parent, and we know how that turns out, right? That's not good when you overly coddle your kid and your kid is not exposed to any sort of adversity or any sort of danger or any sort of adventure or any sort of independence, that it can be stifling. And then it takes a long time for the child to develop outside of that parental environment. Once they become free, there's different kinds of kids, right? There's kids that grow up in bad neighborhoods with very little parental guidance and they're 18, and then there's kids who grow up completely coddled and completely protected and insulated and they're 18, and then they run into each other. Totally different life experiences. And I was the former. I was the kid that didn't have a lot of guidance when I was a kid, and I was a kind of a latchkey kid.
I'm glad you just used that word.
Yeah, it's a common word, right? Common phrase.
Well, apparently it's not.
No?
I grew up with that word.
Yeah, latchkey
I was commenting on how my wife in her early years was a latchkey kid, and she's like, I haven't heard that word in a long time. I'm like, that used to be a word, dude, like latchkey kid.
Yeah, you got a key. And you came home and no one was home.
Yeah.
When I was
That's
12
great.
years old.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't like 5 days ago someone was pointing out to me that word doesn't get used anymore.
Yeah. Well, kids don't. I mean, it's kind of a different thing. You don't really see 12-year-old kids walking home with a key and opening up their front door anymore. Yeah. I mean, I think about my children and how young they are, and I can't imagine them doing that. But I did that, and I think that the independence that comes from being a kid who walks home from school by yourself and opens your door by yourself, and and then my parents didn't come home till whatever it was. They worked till 5, and then they were home. I was out. I would go places. No one knew where the fuck I was. There was no phones. There was no cell phones.
Yeah.
I could leave a little Post-it note or something like that.
It's been interesting to watch as a parent the way that different parents find what dangerous things they're comfortable with. Friends of mine, like my friend Kelly lives in New York, right? And she'll talk about, and we have similar mindsets about exposing kids to risk. And her kids will take the subway, right, or whatever, home. And to me, where I live, and having not had kids that age in a city, like I can't picture what she's getting at. You know what I mean? I go like, wow, that seems just kind of like
crazy.
Yeah. Like,
how old are the kids?
Irresponsible. I'm trying to think how 14 and 9 or 10, somewhere in there. And I don't know, they've been at it for a while. But either way, like things that some people would regard, things that people from the outside would regard as like hard to picture. But at the same time, I expose my kids to like danger that I have decided is like an okay danger to court. I'll expose them to being, they can be around grizzly bears. They can be unescorted in areas that have a lot of mountain lions and bears. We take small boats out into very big water. We do all kinds of things, but it's like things that I've decided are good risk.
Watch the entire episode for free only on Spotify.